Welcome back. In this lesson, we will talking about lists and tables. But before we do, we actually missed something last time. The image tag actually can have more definition in it. It can have a title. The title just tells you what it is. And if you have a title or an image, there's this image, right? That's the first one. So if you have a title or image and you hover over it, you can see it pops up with the title, as opposed to this image that doesn't have a title. If I hover over it, nothing will happen. Okay. It also has something called the alt text. The alt text is just a very detailed description of what's going on. And this is basically what it is for a blind person. So blind people serve that one too. This is an accessibility feature. This allows blind people to actually tell what is on your web page. This is not necessarily just for images. You can put it in any sort of tag that you want. It's just a description of what you would tell a blind person if they were sitting right next to you, so that you'd be able to understand and visualize what is on this page. Now that we got this out of the way, it's time to talk about the meat of today's lesson, of this video's lesson, which is the lists and the tables. Generally, there are two types of lists inside of HTML. We will have the ordered list, and we will have the unordered list. The ordered list is referred to as OL. It's a tag, so it opens and it closes, and the list items go in between. Each list item is referred to as a list item, LI, and again, that's also a tag. And you can have as many of these as you would like. The term OL means that this is an ordered list. Ordered list means that every item in it is preceded by a sequence, a number. So let's say first element, second element, third element, fourth element, and fifth element, not the movie. So if I save here and refresh, you'll see my list pops up. Okay, and all of my elements are in a row and they have a number next to them. And this is because it's an ordered list. If it's an unordered list, a UL, unordered, then instead of numbers, they will just have little dots next to them. Okay, so it can be very beneficial to use to organize content. These are the two main elements there. Now, keep in mind, you can have a list inside of a list. Like, let's say the first element here, okay, instead of it being just the first element, it can have its own list. You just add another ordered or unordered list. That works just fine. The idea here is the new list doesn't directly exist inside of the old list. No, it exists inside of one of the list items. So I can say, hey, here, I1, for example, E1, for example, have to have a list item. E1, this E1, E2, E3, and now if I go back and refresh the page, look, you have the bigger list, and that bigger list has a sublist inside of it, and these are sublists. You can list them, and you can have as many of them as you want. It doesn't matter. It's going to be eventually the same. They can both be ordered, they can both be unordered, does not matter. See? Other types of lists include definitions list, which means if you have a definitions list, now you can have elements and meanings. That means, for example, you have a definitions list. Correct? The definitions list can have a definition term, and it can have its definition next to it, and that would be the D description. And we have another one, definition term, and what that describes. Alright, so now if you refresh here, you'll see, okay, this is your element, and this is your description, element description. Very simple, sir. Straightforward. Now tables work in pretty much the same vein. You would want to first declare the table, and it's simple because the table is very descriptive. You can just say table. This is where your table goes. The table has rows, so it's all table rows, tr. Let's say your table has 2 rows. Right? That's 2 rows on the table. Let's say each row will have 2 cells, so this table has 2 columns. All you have to do is just inside of each table add 2 cells. The cells are referred to as table definition TD. So here you can have a first cell, cell 1, for example, and another TD, cell 2. And if I refresh here, you'll see that they're there next to each other in a table. However, if I go to the next row and I add 2 cells, cell 1, cell 2, you can see that now they are considered in a different row, which is what we wanted. This might be tempting to start adding tables everywhere and start organizing your content on your web page inside of tables, but that's not good practice because it's not very descriptive of what you're trying to do. For styling, always use CSS. We will discuss CSS in detail. Just do not ever be tempted to use tables to organize your web page in any way, shape, or form. Now your table can also have a caption. This would be created once inside of the table. You can give it a description, basically. And you can see that it just gives a description to your table. That's it. It's just the top of your table and it describes what your table is. Also, let's say your first row is the headers for the table. Then you can use th to indicate that. So now if you refresh, you see it's bolder because it treats it as headers. Let's say that this first row here, let's say your table has 5 rows in it. Actually, let's say I have 4 cells in each row. Okay, and we have 2 rows. let's reflect that here. I meant 4. 3 instead of 4. Okay. It's simple, just have 4 columns and 3 rows, or 2 rows and 1 row. Let's say I want this first row, that second cell, instead this first cell of this second row to be 2 cells wide. Simple. You just go row span and say 2. Let's refresh this. We should actually have used row span. That's fine. Now if you look here, this area here is taking up 2 spaces. Because we said it uses 2 columns, column span and that. You could also use, let's go for this one and say row span, yes, which is vertical. Table row here. There. Call span, let's say 2. So now this first cell here will take up 2 vertical spaces. Big row, row span. And now that cell, see, it comes in here on its own because it's taking up 2 spaces. This is how you make better organizing. There's a very good, and there are links to JSFiddle all over the slides. But this JSFiddle is a very good place to see demos. Look here. This is a very good indication of row span versus column span. And this all works in real time, so you can actually see changes happening while you change the code, and this is great for being able to actually debug and watch things happen. So let's see what we have here. We have a table, we have a row, has a column of 2, which is yes, this is what we have here. Then we have A, which has a row span of 4, which is up there. Now, what if we also add a column span of 2? What do you think will happen here? Take the CSS out here. Actually, no, actually. But if we do this and we run it, look, now it takes up 2 columns. Gives it column span 2. If we say column span 4, it takes up 4 columns. Yes. This is the wrong one. Actually, no, it's the right one. Let's use that one. So it's a very good way to change the capacity inside of your table. And with this, the last thing I need to tell you is about the HTML validator from W3 Schools. This is just a small snippet of code that you can copy and use on your website to tell you if you have a problem with it or not. Now, the thing is, browsers are smart and they make up for a lot of mistakes that you might make. So you make a mistake in your HTML and the browser won't do anything. It will just automatically display it the way you intended to, even though you didn't really put it incorrectly. And here's where the HTML validator comes into place. You just plug it in to your website, and it works. It tells you if you've done a good job writing that HTML or not. It's a nice little service, and it will work on your website. If your website is live, you can just copy its link, you can paste it inside of this box, and it will tell you if that website has a problem or not. And it's HTML, so let's, for example, go to Yahoo again, because it's the 90s or something. And we copy it, and we paste it in here, and we check it. I could not find it, but that's fine. Those are actual there. HTML page. Let's try this one. Yeah, you can see it's only got 5. It's looking for an HTML page. It's not getting an HTML page. It's going to be a JSP or something else. But we have this page on the Microsoft.org, and we can check it. And it tells you exactly what problems and errors are in that HTML. And yeah, don't be surprised if a big, high-profile company has issues with their HTML tags all the time. That's why you should check your websites always to make sure everything is good. However, this here is works only if you're paging online. So if it's locally on your computer, it's not going to do anything. It has to be on the internet. And you have a file as part of the lecture package. You have a file that actually gives you instructions on how to use GitHub Pages or to host your web page. And this is going to be part of your homework assignment for today, which should be live after the lecture. You should do that, and then you can check the page. There's also a snippet of code that you can put inside of your website that will allow you to directly click on it and take you to this page with your website URL right at the end here. And that will allow you to tell if your if your HTML page has a problem. That would be it for today's lecture. So just to recap, we had 4 parts. We talked about a lot of basic web-related concepts. We talked about a lot of HTML-related concepts. And the next lecture, we will be talking about CSS for styling and layouts. See you then.